Need this caffeine to kick in.
Let it flow through your veins.
I got a headache. I was laying in bed watching 2.5 Men before we the show, not
Yeah.
before we started here. Charlie Sheen.
Phrasing.
Yep. Ooh, walked right into that one. Anyway,
Monday night.
That show's on Peacock, and it was a great show, even though
It was a great show.
It's kind of the same joke over and over and over again.
Yeah, it's still sitcoms are great.
Charlie Sheen, an American treasure.
Anybody who doesn't like American sitcoms, they should have their head examined.
I don't know, man. There's some that. What was it? It was Two Broke Girls. That one was literally like the same joke on repeat, and it got to the point where I was like, "It's not even funny anymore." It's like,
yeah, but see, I watched it because I have a massive crush on Kat, so that just put that out there. Sole purpose for watching that show.
I'm trying to remember her name. I was just talking to somebody about her and some of the movies she was in there just the other day.
Yeah, 40-year-old virgin. She was like a teenager.
Yep. Kat Dennings.
Yeah.
That's what it was. Anyways, we're here. We're live. This is episode 157 of Snakes and Stogies, which is part of the Herpetoculture Network, which is brought to you by BlackBoxCages.com. Check them out. Facebook, Instagram. Use the code THN at checkout. Save yourself a little bit of money. Get yourself something nice, whether you like racks, whether you like cages. You're not going to be disappointed either way. I need to get to a Jake, and we need to coordinate our great migration up to the wonderful state of Georgia to pick up our stuff.
Yes, sir.
So if you're in the market, or maybe you're not even in the market right now, but you're shopping around, you need to definitely hit up blackboxcages.com, check them out, see if there's anything you like. If you have any questions, message us, get in touch. And then if you're particularly fond of the Pacific Northwest and the people in it, then you need to go and follow Puget Sound Pythons up there in the Puget Sound. I've seen pictures. It's amazing. Me and Katie were planning on going to the Gendra nuptials.
Excellent.
But her sister's getting married around the same time, so we had to make a decision there, unfortunately. But I do want to get up there because the pictures I've seen from like the places they've gone and stuff, it just looks amazing. I want to see some bald eagles and killer whales, dude. Yeah. I don't know if they. I don't know if they have killer whales there or not, but I'm pretty sure
they do. They do. And I've seen them.
I want to feel the America run through my veins.
I actually was on a cruise, and I was on the balcony, like going through on our way back to Victoria. Mm-hmm. And you heard this boom, like this boom on the side of the boat. And it was an orca hit the side of the boat. And I asked one of the people that worked there, they're like, yeah, they do it all the time. It's like fun for them. I was like, Jesus.
SeaWorld has all that stuff half off. Damn.
Wow.
No, but if I was going to do one of those cruises right now, like I went to the Bahamas years ago. I wasn't even of drinking age, so like cruises are fairly pointless if you can't drink or gamble.
That's true.
So I don't recommend it to anybody that's under the age of 21. The cruises are kind of boring if you're a kid. And the Bahamas was wonderfully underwhelming. And I would much rather take one of those Alaskan cruises.
It was awesome, man.
Because Bahamas is kind of like Hawaii. Like you go to Hawaii and it's cool, and then you go to Hawaii 10 years later and it's pretty much the same. I feel like Alaska, at least there's some seasonality and things like that. I feel like when you're dealing with tropical, subtropical, whatever, it's kind of the same year round.
Yeah.
Not a whole lot to experience there.
My dad's aunt lived in Seattle, and we went and visited her and did the whole fish market and Mount St. Helens and all that awesome stuff. And you just don't get it until you're there. And like the majesticness and like like seeing moose in the wild chilling on the river with legit bald eagles in the background, like it's just straight up America, you know. Monumental country, absolutely gorgeous.
Oh, what are you smoking on this week?
So I never smoke CAO, and it's not because I don't like them. It just never hits me. But a friend from work gave me. I'm assuming this is flavored because it's called Flavors.
Oh yeah, that's the white chocolate and Irish cream.
White chocolate. Yeah, it says Eileen's Dream.
Yep.
So I may be putting this out and getting something else if it's too fake.
Of the flavored cigars, I will say CAOs are pretty good.
Okay.
They have one. They have one called Moon Trance, which is supposed to be like a coconut vanilla. They say exotic fruit, but it's fucking coconut. It is actually pretty damn good.
All right.
So I don't know that I've had the Eileen's Dream. I don't know if I even had the cherry one.
It smells vanilla-y.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're gonna give it a whirl. And I also liked it because it had this little cedar wrap. Yeah. And I wanted to get your take on the guys and gals. Let's be real. It's mostly old men that will take the cedar wrap off and use that to light their cigar.
I mean, sure. It's got Scotch tape on it usually to keep it on there, so I don't think that's gonna add to the flavor a whole lot. But
Scotch tape.
Yeah. So they do that because it's supposed to help with the aging and things like that, and maybe there is something to it if it's been sitting there for a really long time. I don't find that it particularly adds anything.
Fair enough.
To most. I mean, there's a few like my father's that have cedar wraps on them, and I mean they're good, but
I've had
for the most part,
I've had Monte Cristos that had a cedar wrap that was adhered with some kind of adhesive. It wasn't Scotch tape, but I know what you're talking about. The majority of the ones I've seen, it's Scotch tape. You know.
Yeah, and like normally I would light with a piece of cedar if I had one, on hand. Because as we mentioned in the past, if you're lighting with cedar or even a soft flame, I have this little soft flame lighter from my father. It's basically a Bic.
Yeah.
And when you do that, you're lighting at a much cooler temperature compared to a torch. So like compared to this bad boy. So you're not burning the tobacco. You're not overheating it and really scorching it, because then you get more of a charred. It affects the flavor to any major degree. I guess it depends on how bad your light is, but it's I don't know. There's sometimes if I'm trying something new, something I haven't had before, then I'll definitely light with a softer flame or a piece of cedar even. If it's something that I've had a million times and maybe I'm like driving, I don't really care. I'll light it and practically throw it in the lighter in the torch. So personal preference. It just depends on the situation.
Well, I'll tell you right now, first light, first puff, the smoke is delectable. The flavoring on the crown is like, it's very forced vanilla.
Yeah. And that's always been sort of my biggest gripe with all the flavored or infused stuff is like, it's so forward. Like there's too much of it. Like with the acids are like, it's the Bud Light of cigars. It's the best selling cigar of all time. Much. And after post Macanudo kind of thing. And the sweetness and stuff is just so overbearing. Like you can't even really enjoy it. Like you don't get much out of it. And that's why those Macanudo M's that are like coffee infused, I really liked because it was light. Like the flavor was there, but it wasn't overpowering.
And like a tabuk, I really enjoy a tabuk.
Yeah. And that's another one where it's like it's just the right amount.
Yep.
Any of the Deadwood stuff, so like the Sweet Janes, Fat Bottom Betties, like those are on the sweeter side. Those are up there with the acids, but it doesn't taste like that synthetic sweetness. It tastes like a natural, sugary kind of sweetness.
Yeah,
It doesn't
it's
taste
almost
weird.
like they dip this one in watered down vanilla extract.
Yeah, and they don't ever say what they're actually like.
Yeah,
what it is they're using. I don't know that we really want to know. If I knew, I'd say, but I don't. But,
well, you know the leading ingredient to cause vanilla scent in perfume. You know what it is? Beaver anal glands.
I thought that was like raspberry flavors and stuff.
I was always told it was vanilla, but like all the trappers and
knows?
stuff. Who knows? I don't even have beavers down here, so never mind.
Nutria.
We do have Nutria.
Made with 100% Nutria ass.
Oh, God. What are you smoking?
So I was at the shop earlier, and I feel like I've been doing nothing but smoking the same thing lately. And I saw these Alec Bradley Black Markets.
Nice.
So I smoked these when we first got them in, and I really wasn't into them. They weren't.
Don't tell me they went down.
It wasn't horrible. It wasn't great. I was just like, it's okay. Like a lot of the Alec Bradley stuff, for the most part that I've had, it wasn't anything that was like I was feeling compelled to smoke again and again and again.
Mm-hmm.
The sleeve on this was nice and ambered up, so I was like, let's revisit them.
Good.
These guys kept getting really high ratings in all the magazines and stuff, which
man,
take it for what that means. And I mean, the first couple puffs in is definitely good, but when we first got them in, like, and now I'm at a point where if Raj gets something new in, I try not to immediately grab it and smoke one.
Yeah, you let other people be the
I
guinea
want
pig.
them, not even that. I want them to sit for a while, because I know that my first impression smoking something, if it's new, it's probably not going to be great. Like most of the time, they do need some time to kind of sit and rest and breathe a little bit, and off gas and stuff. And usually, if that's the case, then I'll come back to it and smoke it again. A month later, 2 months later, whatever, if they're still there. This one I haven't had in probably over a year, so it's good.
Well, that's good. You gave me my first black market, and I think is it the same? I wonder if it's the same size. It's like a 60 Corona.
This is a 6x60.
6x60. Yeah, I think that's what you gave me, and that thing was fantastic. And I've gotten a
it
good
kept
handful.
Getting really
since.
high ratings, and I was like, why is this? It wasn't even that good, but
I enjoyed it.
Now that these were like on the very bottom shelf of one of the shelves, kind of tucked away in the shadows, and I was like, you know what? Let's revisit those. I haven't had one in a minute.
Going back to the CAO flavors, this sucker got hot quick, and maybe it's just because I'm used to smoking some of the Liga stuff. It's a little tighter, but it's already heated up at the band, and my draw is getting real tight. And I'm wondering if that whatever they put in it is burning off. That vanilla is burning off and making it. I don't know. It feels like it's going real quick.
Yeah, I found that to be the case with a lot of the flavored stuff, at least like everything except the Deadwood stuff, like acids especially. They're rolled super loose and they burn. I don't know if they do that on purpose, if it's supposed to help if it affects the flavor in any way, and that's why they roll it looser. But it just, I'm sure that lemonade really makes it.
It actually does. It's super good. I won't lie. I was actually debating that. I was like, man, should I have like a tea or something? Or maybe I don't want to have coffee because I don't want to be up all night. But honestly, the pink lemonade's doing a kick-ass job.
On paper, it should not.
I know, but it's good.
It's like working. One of the last things I'd be drinking with a cigar is lemonade.
And I literally am being so lazy that I don't have cups, so we're just jugging it tonight. Fuck it, right? Oh, snakes and stogies.
What's new on the herp front?
Well, the Fuscus didn't take. I think we've talked about that already. And I put them back together, and they look at each other like, "Hey, what's up, man? How's it going? Oh, you gonna sleep over here? I'll sleep over here." And they just sit there. And that's basically it. I haven't paired geckos yet just because I've been so crazy busy. And I really wanted to. I have a couple pairs that I've never paired before, including Underwoodosaurus, and I really wanted to be there, like to monitor them. I've been staying at Anna Maria's house a lot lately, and I need to get on it. Otherwise, I'm going to miss my window. So, part of me says,
what is the window with neffs and stuff like that?
It depends on the species, but you basically have two thought processes in the United States: mimic Australia, or just do it spring like normal Americana stuff. Now, in the past,
well, if you did it like Australia, then you'd be pairing them at the end of the year, right?
Right, or even earlier. It'd be like October, November.
Okay.
Would be ideal. So, like, if you look at Australian species in Australia, and you look at reproductive pheromones turning on, you have a massive spike in testosterone in males at like the end of August into early September, like the first week. And then right in the middle of September into the end of September is when you start to have ovarian follicle development, because the girls can smell the testosterone in the boys, right? And then you start to cool down. And there's actually been peaks and valleys, depending on the part of the continent that you're at or what kind of gecko you are, of them breeding in early November into Christmas, and then taking some time off, and then going into like a second round of it in like March and April. And then by May, June, you're tapered off, and now you're back into winter, right? But here, this stuff's been here its entire life. It's never been in the wild. It's all captive bred for the past 20 something years. So I had bad luck doing it in February, March. So I went earlier, and that seems to be working for me, is going earlier. But I've never bred Underwoodosaurus before. So I cooled them in the end of December through January into February, brought them back up February, let them get up to speed March, and now would be the right time to do it in theory. But I look at them and I'm like, man, they're still kind of derpy. They're still kind of dinky, especially my male. I mean, he's old enough. He's 2 years old, but he's still kind of like, he's like the short kid. You know what I mean? Yeah. I don't want to push him. So, but we'll see what happens.
See, I don't know. I'd be less worried about a male being smaller than a female, but I've also over time really steered more towards gauging breedability off of age rather than size.
Yeah.
With the snakes and stuff, I really don't feed my stuff like across the board. I don't feed my stuff a lot, like on a consistent, regular basis, unless it's really young. And so as a result of that, I have some animals that are, for their age, they should be, I guess, if there is a standard, if we're talking about by the standards of, Facebook herpetoculture, like, then they're severely stunted and severely underweight.
Right.
But by normal, like, in my opinion, natural history standards, they're probably right where they should be.
Yeah.
Maybe slightly behind the curve, but close. So I don't know if I had, chondros, like that pair of chondros, that's like less than, maybe right around 400 grams now.
Like, are you talking about the blue spotted one? Because, dude, I would totally breed that thing. The thing's huge.
Which one?
The one that you always
post. Designer female?
Yeah, with the crazy blue spots.
Oh, yeah. She's going to get paired at the end of the year.
Okay.
But I have that other pair that are 2018s that are small. They're not big. They're not big chondros. Like,
yeah.
I'm going out on a limb breeding them. I think that the female could, if they went, which they haven't. Like, I've had them paired up. The male tried like hell, like night after night after night, and I think he's finally kind of thrown in the towel. Like, they're small. Like, if I got a clutch from them, it would be tiny. But she's old enough. Like, I don't think it's really an issue of age. Like, yeah, they're smaller, but I'm not worried about it.
Yeah, and I think about the Underwoods being a communal species, and A lot of people just keep them together, and I don't, because I kind of want to be more observant as to what's going on with them. So I'll introduce for a day or two and then separate. So you know what? Screw it. Maybe I'll just throw them together tonight, see what happens. You know. It looks like Creative said they paired their Underwoodosaurus Millie last night and Nephris Wheeler tonight. So that's awesome.
Nice.
Good for you. That's awesome. And I was thinking about, I had these Mexican Black Kings, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they were given to me by Marcus because he was given them by another friend who bred them, who produced them. And these were, I thought they were 3 years old this year. They're not. They're only 2. And they're a very special Mexican locality that is really expensive and rare.
Yeah.
And I don't even remember what it's called. I got to look that up. But I thought they were 3 years old. And I was like, man, these things are so tiny. And then I talked to one of the guys from Underground who I know breeds them. And he showed me pictures of his adults that are like 5 years old. And they're the same size as mine. Mm-hmm. But then if you compare Penchobs to mine are like yearlings compared to his. So I don't know if maybe it's just this locality is a tiny locality, or if Chris's are just that much older. I don't know.
See, and that's the hardest part, because even like with the rhinos, when I was talking to Most and Stone and Burwell, trying to, like, without any context of seeing, what big adult rhinos look like in person versus what average adult rhinos look like in person to small adult rhinos look like in person. It was really hard to gauge whether mine were like on par.
Yeah.
Age wise, it's like, yeah, they can go. But it was just a matter of, like, if my female is too small, even if she's of age, like, I do have a limit, but it was hard to really get an idea. And actually, as it turns out, so the rhinos are together now.
Cool.
I
saw the pictures you posted in our little Ganyo chat.
Yeah. So the one that I thought was a male, I have a reverse trio as far as adults go right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
That one and another one I had labeled as males, and then there was one that I was sure was the female of the group. Like, at some point when I got them from Loafman, I got them mixed up or something. Like, when I was setting them up, they got mixed up. Labeled the female as a male, labeled the male as a female. So,
and not to cut you off, but I think that's also a Doc thing, because my Outer Banks Kings that I got from Doc were backwards. And I didn't realize that until they shed, and I was like, man, why does this girl shed look like a boy? And I was like, oh, because the lids were wrong. So, but yeah, go on.
Yeah, so
we love you, Doc.
I was sending Burwell and Stone pictures of this male saying, I think this female, like, is this female big enough? Like, do you think, in ratio of my hand holding her, like, do you think that, she would be good to go if they went? And they said, oh, yeah. And then I had the male, which is considerably larger than the other 2 actual males.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, okay, well, I'll put him in. And so I introduced the one that I thought was the female in with that now actual female, because they both are kind of that darker, deeper bluish, greenish color that I like, that I was kind of aiming for anyways. And instantly, the female, that's actually the male, was chasing the female that I thought was male. And so I also knew from talking to Rob and Matt and them that, like, putting male rhinos together, especially when there's a female around, like, there's gonna be problems. Like, they're not gonna just, like, be like corns and stuff that just kind of, ignore each other's existence, more or less. Like, they will.
They're gonna duke it out.
They're gonna duke it out.
Yeah.
And so I'm looking at them, and, like, obviously I've seen plenty of colubrids, lock and breed and stuff, and so I know sort of what I'm looking for. But seeing how much that the actual female was, like, running from that male, I was like, well, wait a second, like, do I have them mixed up? And so I introduced them. I'd leave them together for like an hour or so, and then I'd separate them because I was worried about stressing out that female, the actual female.
Yeah.
And so then I was like, well, let me try something else. And so I took the other male and put him in with that female just to see if there was a difference in terms of reaction. And he was even more aggressive about chasing after her than the other male was. And so I was, that's when I was taking video.
Yeah.
And I sent them to the group and was like, what am I looking at? Like, if these were two males, what would be happening right now that I'm, as opposed to what I'm seeing? And they were like, no, that looks pretty standard. They said if it was two males, like, you'd see the male that was sort of more submissive, trying to get rid of the other male and like buck them off, and there'd be more biting all over the body. And because they do the neck biting thing, from what I've been told from like Burwell, he's never seen any of his actually do it. He's seen marks where like the male did it to a female, but he hasn't actually seen him doing it. So long story short, it is a reverse trio still. I just had the actual like who was who in that trio mixed up, and that female is totally big enough to go.
Yeah,
like she's got considerably more size to her than the other ones. And kind of the one thing too that also made me wonder if I had them mixed up is like that one that is actually the female never refused food. But when I went to go feed the male that's in with her now, if it wasn't like a live fuzzy, he wouldn't touch it. Before, that snake would eat anything. It didn't matter. Like if I offered rat pup, didn't want it. If I offered it like anything other than like live fuzzies, zero interest. And that's what made me wonder, well, maybe you're the boy and maybe that's the girl, because males will go off food. Rob said he doesn't notice it until they're considerably older that they start refusing during breeding season. But it was like, okay, so they're together. They definitely seem to be, the female seems to be adjusting to him being in there much more now after a couple days.
Do you think that having the two boys together accidentally sparked something in the whole process?
Possibly. I don't know. I mean, so the other male shed, and so I was like, okay, well, that's one way I can sort of test this thing out. Is I took that shed and I like ripped it into two pieces, and I put one in with the female and I put the other in with the other male, just to see if there was any definite male to male reaction out of it. And I didn't get anything out of that, but
well, you didn't get anything that you saw.
Right.
Yeah.
It could have been like a carpet python thing where you throw in the shed of another male and all of a sudden they're like, oh, I got to get the job done. Like, I haven't seen any locks yet. He's been trying like crazy. I feel kind of bad because I check on him regularly and he won't leave her alone. But
did you swap feces too or no?
No.
Okay.
I'm not weird. I'm not a weirdo.
Dude, it works, man.
And then another mystery that has been solved. So I have not my Ladies Island, but this is another wild-caught Buford corn that I had that I got as a baby back in like 2018.
Okay.
It's like a fresh baby. Been raising it up. Kept getting sheds that alluded to it being a female. So I've always been like, okay, it seems like it's a girl. I never probed it. Never felt really the need to because the tail length looked shorter. Like overall looked female to me. I was like, okay. Tried to pair it last year. Left the male in there for a couple weeks. Nothing. And I was like, okay, well, maybe she's just not going to go this year. Pulled her out a couple, like 2 weeks ago. Put another male in with her. Nothing. It was a slightly smaller male, and that smaller male started freaking out and trying to get away. I was like, well, wait a second.
Yeah.
That's not normal. So then I was like, okay. I put in another male to see if maybe it was just that male. Nothing. So then I put in one of the females just in case it's a male. Nothing. No reaction whatsoever.
Interesting.
Put in another female. Because I was like, it's breeding season. If it's a male or if it's a female, something's going to respond to it. One way or the other.
Right.
No reaction. So I was like, okay. So I was like, I'm just going to wait for it to shed and I'm going to send the shed off to get it sex. Because I also probed this thing and it probed male.
Okay.
But then when the sheds came, the sheds were female, like looked female.
Okay.
So I was like, what the fuck is going on?
Any blood spots?
On the previous sheds, yeah.
Wow. Okay.
That's the weirdest thing. Like you look at that shed and you're like, that looks like a female.
Yeah.
And then when I had Jake come over and I probed it and it went really, really far, like it went male, I'm like, that doesn't make sense. So either I just really jacked this snake up, which
you would know. You would
super delicate when it comes to probing. Like I'm not.
You would
1,000%.
You would know.
So I took a couple. It finally shed, and I set the shed aside because I was like, I'm gonna send it off. And then I was like, you know what? Let me take one of these females that I know for a fact is proven, and now that it's shed, let me put it in with one of those. Mm-hmm. And it was a female that I have my Castagna Motley in with. And I'll be damned if that snake didn't just go after it right away. And that snake was a freaking male.
No kidding. I've got
like 3.1 of my native corns. And so that explains why last year, like I had the male in there, nothing. So the moral of both those stories is these things will make you feel real dumb real quick.
It's all learning experience, man. All of it.
And now I have like I'm super male heavy on corns because my original plan was like, oh, I've got 2.2. This will be perfect. So it's one of like the best looking wild caught corns I've ever come across. Like that thing's just developed flawlessly. Nice. So it's not going anywhere regardless. Like it's going to get plugged into stuff at some point.
Yeah.
But yeah, I put in like this het sun-kissed male. He was a 2021, and like as soon as I put him in there, he like took a couple tongue flicks, and then he just like tried to get away. And I was like, bitch. And then I was like, well, okay, let me put a female in there because if it's a boy, then it's that time. Maybe there'll be some interest.
Yeah.
Nothing, no interest. Wasn't until that shed happened that all of a sudden, like I put in there with a female. It's like, oh yeah, okay, let's go. And so I had to pull him before he actually locked with that female. But it was a whole fiasco, and just
awesome.
Reminds me that I have no idea what the fuck I'm doing.
Well, no, you do have an idea of what you're doing. You just sometimes it isn't what it may appear. So
you can never have too many corns.
I still need to find another Miami female or another Miami male for my female. I mean, she'll be ready to breed probably next year. So I got this summer to basically find her a boyfriend. So.
Well, I have eggs on the way.
Well, I'm going to be a snooty snood and say that I want to catch it in Dade County. Then I want to get the same phenotype. Like true Miami phenotype. Yeah. This is the only one I've ever gotten this is the only one that I've ever been able to catch. And I didn't even catch it. Marcus did. And I've seen them before, like on fence posts and like you can't get to it or it's in like somebody's yard and you're not hopping that fence, And then one time I found one in the same coloration in Palm Beach County, which is crazy because that's like, I don't know,
that's a good
60 miles north of where the other one was. Same phenotype, but it was in protected lands. And I didn't keep it because I was like, no, I'll be a good boy. I'm not going to break the law. And then that same night, there was a Fish and Wildlife checkpoint. So that's why you follow the law.
Yeah. No, that'd be cool. I wonder if those have gotten considerably harder to come across over the years.
Just with the Miami phase.
Like over collection, like people beelining.
Well, I don't think it's over on some. I don't think it's over collection. I just think it's urban expansion. I really do.
A combination of the both.
And like the one that Marcus caught, this one female I have, I mean, she was caught in suburbia in a development that was only a year old. So they bulldozed all this like forest land, made a development with all these bougie houses, and then he went up getting the contract for the neighborhood and found it in somebody's yard. So clearly it had been surviving through all of that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I'm hoping that I come across some smaller stuff come baby season out there.
Yeah.
Mind adding to the Ladies Island group. But
yeah, man.
the Ghost Tessera female that I paired with the pied blood red male, she is most definitely gravid. So I'm expecting a prelay shed here soon. And then the Ladies Island female that I have that Castagna Motley male with, it feels like she's got some eggs brewing. I don't think she's as nearly far along as that Ghost Tessera male is, but those will be good too. It's and then the Bairds. I did the Loma Alta with the albino hypo male, and it kind of felt like maybe she had some going on, but it still looks pretty early. But that Ghost Tessera girl, man, she's definitely, you can see her and tell she's definitely got eggs going on. So
nice, awesome, very cool.
What phenotype is who looking for, Kevin?
Yeah, because I saw Kevin ask that question, and I'm trying to find a picture of the girl, and this girl was caught in Aventura off of, now I can't remember the canal. Damn. Aventura, west of Ives Dairy, off of a main canal that I can't remember the name of. So definitely North Dade. All right. Here we go.
Mm-hmm.
So, and these pictures don't do it justice. There's a ton of yellow and gray.
Yeah, I like that.
But I mean, it looks nothing like the normal South Florida corns. I mean, obviously it's not a quote unquote Miami type, you know, but corns don't look like this in anywhere around here.
Yeah.
I wish I could upload it to StreamYard without it crashing, but the yellows are just intense. Super duper. Almost like it's somebody's morph pet that got loose, but it's definitely not. So
also, speaking of StreamYard, we found out about a new feature.
Yeah.
Where if you put in the hashtag rhinos are better in the comments, and if you say it, you better mean it, we will randomly draw a winner from those comments, and we'll send them a shirt or something.
I did not pick this hashtag, FYI.
Don't listen to him. Totally did. So, you know, Skylar, you can just throw that right down there in the comments there. You know, say it loud for everyone to hear. You too, Kevin. Kevin actually likes rhinos, so
Kevin's got both. He's allowed to.
If Kevin says it, then we know he'll mean it. But
I mean, you don't make the guy do that. I mean, he could put it just to enter the contest. It doesn't mean he believes it.
He has to mean it.
Oh man. But he is the Baron. He is the Baron.
Yeah, like we had no idea that StreamYard could do this, and I just found out Barons are better. Get out of here. Doesn't count.
Schubert, shit, no caps.
Yeah, I just found out about this last night, so I sent it to Phil and Burke. And I was like, look, StreamYard makes this really easy. Y'all have eye problems.
Thank you, Skylar.
Oh, Michael Gillen's here. Yeah, I'm shipping to Canada for the first time next week.
Fancy.
And so far it's mildly nerve-wracking.
Trippy says I'm crispy. I'm trying to figure out what the context is of that.
I don't know. So if you ship to Canada, it's not like when you ship to the continental US.
Right, you're exporting.
You're exporting. And so they send you this form that you fill out with like an invoice basically and scientific names and all that, the stuff that you would normally fill out, right? And then they're like, okay, once this is approved, we're gonna send you another like instructions basically, like leave the briefcase at the corner of this street. Someone will pick it up. If you do not see a man in a black hat picking this up, it is not the right person.
Wow.
But basically they're like, label everything with who it's going to, what it is, common name, scientific name. Do not add anything to the box that is not on this label, or it will get sent back or confiscated, or you'll get fined. And so I'm like, well, like, I mean, I'm not going to add anything to the box, but now I'm like terrified that I'm not going to label something right, and they're going to be like, this is wrong.
Yeah.
Send it back.
Yeah. You know what? Just don't assume bad things, but be mentally prepared for it. You know, I actually have a really bad story about that if you want to hear it.
Sure.
While people are preaching that their rhinos are better. I had a friend who did a legitimate export, a legitimate import.
Of bats when in California or Canada.
That's funny. Oh, Kasicki. Oh, look, Kevin put it. He put it in there. Oh. So I had a friend who did an import from Egypt, and this is a guy who has a venomous license, but he did not import any venomous. He is. He's legit butthurt. Sorry, boy.
I trusted you.
So my buddy, he brings in the shipment from Egypt, and when the box gets to Miami, he gets a phone call from U.S. Fish and Wildlife, not even FWC. And U.S. Fish and Wildlife says, hey, there's a problem with your shipment. We're sending it back, and you're being issued citations. And he's like, what are you talking about? He says, well, there's 5 Egyptian cobras in this box, and you didn't put them on your manifest when you registered everything. He goes, I didn't buy them. I didn't request them. You know, the guy must have just put it in there. Yeah. They said, well, the box is being shipped back because it violates X, Y, and Z, and it wasn't on the manifest, and you're being fined $500 per snake. And he had to take it to court, and he wound up he paid the court costs, and the guy in Egypt was kind enough to pay the fines for each snake, but he got legit charged.
Yeah, and they said that on the instructions, they're like, don't add anything to the box that isn't on the label, like none of these, like, it's a gift, thank you, kind of thing. Like, if it ain't on the label, don't put it in the box.
Yeah, that's what this was. The guy was like, oh, you buy so much stuff from me, I give you some free cobras as a thank you. And it's like, no, you just screwed all of us. So
yeah, but I mean, so far it's been pretty straightforward in terms of, you know, as long as it's not CITES stuff, it's really not hard to send stuff to Canada. So,
and you're using the mics?
Yep, Reptiles Express. The other thing, so that's the other thing that I'm very confused on, because they're doing this through Reptiles Express, and I'll have to ask Mike about it. But they send you the form and like the instructions of what you need to do after they've approved basically like the invoice and all the information that you send them initially. Then in that like they send you a PDF, and in that PDF, it's like, if you're shipping to Canada, ship with Reptiles to you, because like they keep track better than they do. Like, I was like, well, wait a second, like, this is Reptiles Express, like, why would they be advertising Reptiles to you? I don't know. It was just very odd. And I'd like, it wasn't like, I mean, it's like the emails all have Reptiles Express as the like signatures of the people I'm talking to.
Okay.
It's just strange because I'm like, because it's not even like a use Reptiles to you because they legitimately do something. It's Sam from Reptiles Express. It's a different company than Mike. Oh, okay.
All right.
So it's like a separate entity, I guess, for Canada, but it's the same name. I don't know. I just thought it was odd. Because there wasn't like when they said use reptiles to you, it wasn't in a context of or like a reasoning of use them because they legitimately can do things that we can't do. It was just like an advertisement, more or less. So I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing once again.
Yeah, I know everyone down by me, they all use Omega because Ralph's been in the business for forever. And it's just easy peasy in terms of the brokerage fees and paying CITES and whatever else. So I don't know who is taking care of that with the mics, but I'm sure it'll all go fine. Easy peasy.
I mean, they're already going to be in transit longer than they typically would for like overnight, but
yeah, but not by much.
They said, make sure if you want to make everyone's lives easier, basically ship in deli cups so that they can see it without having to take it out. Unless it's something large that needs to be in a bag. And then, which the Baird's that's going to Mike is small enough for a deli cup. If I could find some sort of container big enough for one, at least the female suboc, then I may do that. I don't know, but
it's interesting that they actually because you're not using a shipping crate, right? You're not crating it. This is
no. This is a regular 12 by 9 by 6 box.
Yeah, it's very interesting. They cut that open and look at it. Crazy.
And I see that's the other thing too is like in the instructions they talk about that, and like it sounds like inspections may be random, or maybe they look at all of them. I don't know, but who's Julian? Who's Omega?
Omega is the broker in Miami who takes care of everything.
Oh, really?
Yeah. If it's leaving the country, if you say the word, and I got you, boy. Just say the word.
I'm saying the word.
All right, we'll talk off air.
That melanistic Jansenii that got posted, I think Ashley at Northern Lights posted it. I had like 3 people like right away send me screenshots of that. They're like, "Did you see this?"
Yep.
I was like, "Yeah." I was like, I'm entirely too poor for that. So
we'll talk off air.
Okay.
But yeah, Canada's awesome, and I'm sure Monsieur Guélan will enjoy his noodles.
He's getting some subocs and a Baird's, and I don't know. It's nice knowing
you
that.
Sold him subocs?
I sold him that pair of subocs. Yeah, I know.
Was I not privy to this? No offense, Mike. Was I not privy to this transaction?
I wasn't under the impression that you needed them. Because from what you said, it sounds like you were kind of like
I am. I've been
defeated and thrown in the towel with subocs.
I know, but these are established ones that are proven to be alive, and they're from my friend. Duly noted for next time.
Yeah, so it's nice to know that if there is things that you want to send to Canada that are not, CITES or anything like that, but maybe stuff they don't have as much of up there, that it is now not difficult to get things up there that to help expand the Canadian horizons of herpeticulture.
Nice.
Now I can say I've sold snakes all over the world. We're not picking a winner yet. We'll pick a winner later.
Mike says he knows the guy in Florida. Nice.
He knows Florida, man.
So all of mine have come from people in Florida. Some people that I know personally, and it's. I can say this without. How do I phrase this? I don't want to say it and sound cocky, and I don't want to say it and sound like a snooty dick, but they weren't my fault. And I found that out. So I'll leave it at that. I just need to be more selective as to where I get my subocs from. Still got one kicking ass.
Well, Mike has some Wild Rose Pass stuff, and so I had this pair. And
perfect.
Cool.
Yeah. West Texas for the win.
That's right.
Yeah. So it seems like everyone is chomping at the bit to see the winner.
I
And
mean,
I haven't seen the hashtags for a little bit.
hashtag rhinos are better.
Why don't we do
have
it at the
13
1 hour
entries.
mark?
That's right. You have 10 minutes. And if
10
you
minutes.
it automatically weeds out duplicates. So if you've already done it.
And you know what I think is crazy is they don't even know what they're winning.
I said like a shirt or something.
Oh, I missed that. Sorry.
Unless we have like a picture of Jake's feet or something somebody might want.
Oh God. Ugh.
They only opened them one time and confiscated them. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure. I would imagine if I were an inspector and I saw a box that had something very vague on it, like 5 ball pythons, then I'd probably be like, all right, why? Like, if you're not putting any, if it's too vague, I'm just saying, if it's something that's like stands out because of how monotonous and sort of simple it looks, that maybe there's something more going on. But if it's something where it's like there's 2 Bogertophus subocularis and 1 Pantherophis bairdi in here, then it might be like, okay. But at the same time, if you think like a criminal, maybe that is the perfect cover. I don't know.
Needless to say, all the T's were crossed, the I's were dotted. It's going to be good.
Yeah, and then I got to look at weather because I want to pack them with heat if they're going up to New York, because I'm assuming it's still stupid cold up there.
Yeah.
But it's getting stupid hot here, so I am happily fresh out of Kings. I am fresh out of Thorn Scrubs. This house is clean.
This house is clean.
Yeah, where is it that they're up in New York? I forget off the top of my head.
Not bad this week in Western New York. Well, I went out herping with Anna Maria. We went to road cruise this one levee system. It's not really a levee system. It's just a bunch of canal roads up by her. And I swore it was going to be the perfect coral snake weather. It had drizzled and it was warm and it was a high humidity. And we got there at the right time and we didn't see a single freaking thing. I saw 1 leopard frog hop across the road and that was
Damn.
it. Yeah.
So it is going to Lewiston, New York. I'm assuming that's close to Canada. So 14092 is the zip code for anyone that might recognize that.
But yeah, I will say this, that going out the other night definitely sparked it because I have not been out herping in a while. And then you start looking at old photos and you start watching videos from herp trips. And I got to get back in the swing of things. And 'tis the season, it's warming up. I mean, shit, it was like 92 here today. So, ugh.
I've got the tin and stuff, and I've been flipping that every Saturday morning before I clean rats and stuff. And last weekend I found that black racer, which was cool and all. And then Saturday I flipped a garter.
Nice.
Which I thought was neat because I haven't seen a garter in a while, at least out on my parents' property. It had just eaten something, so I kind of just left it be.
Yeah.
I always feel bad if it's 8 and I don't want to mess with it because it's like it probably worked its ass off to get that damn meal.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then Sunday, Casey Cannon was in town dropping off some African softbirds.
Oh, you got them?
I did.
Nice.
Just north of Buffalo, north of Niagara Falls. God damn. And Jake went and flipped the same board that I had flipped like earlier that morning and found a little Tantilla.
Oh, cool.
And then we're all standing there talking because Danielle's with us and her husband Dusty, because she was picking up a cage that Casey brought down, a BlackBox cage, a BioG, blackboxcage.com.
BlackBoxcage.com.
like we're all standing there talking, and then Danielle's like, a snake just fell out of that tree because there's a big live oak right in my parents' like driveway there. And I would like there was a stick on the ground. I was like, Danielle, that was a stick. It wasn't a snake. And then she's like, no, look right there. And she walks over, and it was a little tiny rough green snake.
No kidding.
It just fell out of a damn tree like 20 feet.
Wow. That's awesome.
Like 10 feet from us. And then Casey's like, I've never seen an actual rough green snake in person. So like we sat there and played with it for a few minutes, and then we let it go. It was just
that's awesome. And like
wild.
Dude, that's South Carolina's the place to be, man. Snakes are falling out of freaking trees.
Yeah.
It's raining snakes up in Beaufort.
It was super windy here because we were supposed to get some really bad storms, and they just, I guess, decided not to show.
Yeah.
And I feel like that little guy was just hanging out on one of the branches, and one of those hardcore gusts just came by and like freaking Wizard of Oz his ass out of the damn tree.
Whee!
And then I had to, yeah. So like, okay, rough green snakes have a very distinct smell to them. I don't know how to describe it. I just remember I had some as a kid. That was the first snakes I ever had were some rough green snakes. And I just remember very distinctly the smell that they had. It was like this weird, like grassy kind of, I don't know. And so I was like, I wonder if they still smell like that. And they do. Okay. Danny had to be the weird one to take pictures while it was happening. So
duly noted.
But that's the first live rough grain I've seen in a while too. So
yeah, dude, I haven't seen one in a very long time. I'm trying to find one for Anna Maria. I can't find them. And then like I had this one spot that was all Brazilian pepper, and they just like they festoon themselves on the Brazilian pepper, and they're just gone. And they all up and left. I don't know if they're spraying insecticide or maybe too much car traffic or something, but they gone.
I'm convinced they're freaking everywhere here, but because they blend in so well with the trees and stuff, you just never see them. Unless they're where they're not supposed to be, i.e. on the ground, on pavement, where they stand out. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
Trippy says he's going to go to shows and just ask to smell the geckos. Well, do you remember there was a nature show or documentary? I don't know if it was Nat Geo or Animal Planet or something. And this guy who was a professor of herpetology somewhere, and he had like 4 or 5 grad students. They went down to, I don't know if it was Costa Rica or Panama or somewhere down there to find these geckos to, I guess, redescribe them or.
That was the Magic School Bus is what you're thinking of.
No. And I guess one of the ways to visually tell the gecko with the naked eye, because they are so similar, is to rub the gecko on your lips, because your lips are the most sensitive part of your body, and you can feel the difference in scalation on the back of the gecko on your lips. And everyone was like, you're out of your mind. But that was like a contributing factor. And then they take it back to the lab where they look at it under a microscope and they can really tell the scalation difference.
I would feel like that would be easier to do.
Well, when you're in the bush, you don't want to take home a bunch of geckos that are wrong ones. You know? I mean,
I love rough green snakes as much as the next guy, but I wasn't rubbing one on my face like it was chapstick.
Yeah. Well, and honestly, hindsight, you probably could bring like a magnifying glass or like a jeweler's loop, and you probably could look at it that way. I mean, and maybe there was something else to it. Maybe it was just for the show. Who knows? But I vividly remember that show.
Yeah, I don't remember that. What are your did you hear the Morph Market news?
No. What's up in Morph Market?
So it has been bought by Darian Drollinger, who owns dubiaroaches.com.
Really?
So he is the CEO and owner now.
Wow. All right.
I don't know how I feel about it.
Okay. Well, like what happens with John and like the admins and like Doc?
All of that is staying as far as I know. I think John's going to stay on board for a while.
Okay.
I don't think it was ever disclosed like what sort of the exit strategy was for him, if there ever truly is one. Yeah, new category picks. That was nice. That was like the first order of business, I guess. I don't know. I think my only, and I talked to Wyman about this a little bit, and he's like, "I'll tell John if you want." And I was like, "No, it's not. I'm probably, worrying about it. Not really worrying, but giving it too much thought. But I just feel like John was on such a good, steady trajectory with it, to where like he was making changes, but he wasn't trying to make it like Facebook and stuff has gotten, where they try to add so many features to make it easier and more convenient to use that it only makes it more convoluted and more of a dumpster fire. Right. I feel like John's always done a really good job of like keeping things on an even trajectory, but adding features that are actually practical and actually like useful, and not trying to make it as easy as possible to use. And I guess my concern there is that, that won't be the case with somebody else coming in, but I don't know. I mean, I'm hopeful, as far as like Morph Market's become the standard. I remember when Morph Market first came out, I was like, no one's going to use this. I was convinced. I was like, I mean, maybe it's because there was nothing but ball pythons on there that I was like, it's great for ball python people, but I mean, the buck stops there. I'll just stick to king, snake, and fauna. And now, I mean, I was dead wrong. Like it's become the standard, and it's become awesome. It's been great to use. I think I heard initially there was talk of him changing things to like the pay structure and like what plans got, like maybe your lower tier plan. So like your free plan where you can only have, I think, 3 animal listings. And maybe I think they added a tier, which I think is the basic, which is, I want to say like $11 a month or something, where you can get up to 10 animals, I think. So they've already made some small changes. But, like anything else, it'd be like someone sort of coming in and taking my place at THN and, completely shaking things up and doing things different. And
no, I get that. What's interesting is I haven't been on there in a long time, and there used to be, it wasn't an app. It was like a downloaded link into the server. And I went to go log into my account, and it logged me out. And I was like, why am I logged out? And it was like, download our app.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
it's
oh, wow,
actual
it's
app.
a freaking app.
And it works.
I'm on it now in 42
just
categories.
Just as easy to operate as the website is too, which is also,
yeah.
I was very happy to see that, because normally when you see people coming out with apps for stuff like that, it was like basically what you said, like just a link to the website.
Right,
like,
right.
It's not an app, dude. That's a link.
And I love this. Other amphibians, axolotls, frogs, tree frogs, turtles, tortoises, other geckos. Like, this is awesome. Leachionis have their own thing now. Super cool. Rat snakes have their own thing. This is great. Other pythons, very cool. Still no venomous.
Yeah, I don't know that'll ever happen.
Yeah.
But
look, there's a stories section. Super cool. Maybe staying up late looking at geckos tonight. Very cool.
Yeah. So Joe said, so far I've noticed one change was every tier now has their logo displayed versus higher tiers only. I think the pricing and membership structure to make tweaks to like the lower levels makes complete sense, especially for someone like me who doesn't typically have more than like 20 snakes at a time for sale is a lot for me. So it's like, I don't want to have to pay $30 to $50 a month for a plan that I'm really only realistically going to be having and like using for a couple months out of the year. So to have like that basic plan, which I actually need to sign up for it so I can get some more stuff up there.
Yeah.
I really appreciated that, because I mean, I think that's realizing that there's plenty of people that are selling stuff. They're just not doing it on a large scale. And so to have an option where they're not limited to just 3 animals at a time, but something between, that 10 to 20, 10 to 15, helps out. Like I said, I mean, I'm hopeful, and I'm sure Darian's going to do a fine job with it. Is just kind of that initial shock of, well, what's going to happen now? It's
yeah.
had a good thing going. What do we know? What's going to happen at this point? So
time will tell, and I'm sure things will progress and get better and better and better no matter what. I'm optimistic.
and maybe it was just the fact that John's put so much into that whole thing, for the last 8 years. That guy's worked his ass off getting that thing to where it is, and I attribute a lot of that success of that to him being so open to the input of the people that are actually going to be using it.
Right.
Because I remember at Daytona when we were doing the magazine, talking to John and being like, I don't want to have to sift through the certain morphs to see what's for sale. I just want to see what's for sale, like what the everything. Like in corn snakes, I don't want to have to go through and look at go through the list of morphs and see what's for sale. Like I just want to see corn snakes, like what's currently up for grabs. And at the time, like there was a way to look at find that, but I didn't know that was the way you did it. And so I told him, and he literally was carrying around a little notebook. And if you told him things, he was jotting it down, actively. I hadn't seen anything like that before, where someone was so hungry for input and ideas and actually taking them and applying them to where it's yeah, we'll do that, man. And then it just disappears forever. It never happens. That's as far as it goes.
Yeah, but you know what? Who's to say that this new owner isn't going to do the exact same thing and pave the way and make it bigger and better? So, yeah.
I don't know if he made any money on the sale, Mike. I'm assuming he did, but are we drawn?
We're 6 minutes over.
Put in that rhinos are better hashtag so we can draw a winner.
Give you 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Do it. Hey. Trippy got the win. That's a super fun program.
Dude,
I'm glad we got that.
Super easy to do.
Yeah, a little confetti and everything. I love it.
Look at that, and then it just goes away. It's yeah, you won. Yeah.
Well, the snow melted.
How fun.
Super fun. I love it. It's good stuff.
And the best part is we get to choose the hashtag each week. You know what I should do is we should put in a random, maybe just a single letter or something and see if it registers every, if we put A as the thing and then it randomly picks just any comment that had A in it.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, that would be killer.
Let me see.
Yeah, because it doesn't have to be a hashtag, right?
We'll try it right now. I don't think it does. Wait, go back.
Yeah, let's try that.
Bookmark that.
I was just thinking about that. The letter A. I think every single person that's commented has used at least the letter A.
Because it says any user whose comment includes this text will be entered. So.
Bairds beats Battlestar Galactica. Love it. Well, while Smitty does that, for those of you who are unaware, okay, all right, I'll wait.
Oh, I put an apostrophe into name. Okay, never mind. Carry on.
Well, no, you got it up there? Letter A?
Yeah. It's 14 entries. So maybe it's just whoever's actually commented. Well, it would be whoever actually commented, but it's not going to do duplicates.
Wait, so there's 30 people watching this right now live, and only 14 have commented? Is that what it's saying?
I think it's it only picks those with the hashtag in it. Oh.
So you have to have a hashtag.
I guess so.
Damn.
Whatever.
We'll play with it.
Yeah.
Gutatus is the superior Pantherophis. Hashtag. Love it.
We use it on the aquarium live streams. Okay, I got you. This podcast is brought to you by the letter A.
So I said rectum damn near killed him. Oh! That was good, Daryl. I literally read that. I was like, so
yeah, I was like having a stroke. I was like, what?
It reminds me of the two old men in the Muppets. Kevin Barron, hashtag ass. Oh, we are such children. And they gave us a live stream.
That's right.
So what's on the horizon for springtime seasonal action? Seasonal action.
I don't know. I mean, those 2 pairs of corns are currently the only thing planned on that front. I was, if that one had actually been a female, I was planning to put that het sunkissed male to her, but her is a he. So him, her is a him. So now I can make plans for him next year.
Good. How's the I want to say persimmon.
That's what they are.
Is that what it is?
Yes.
It's persimmon?
Yeah.
Oh, why did I feel like I was going to butcher that name?
Because some people say they're corulum.
Oh, all right. Well,
they were originally persimmon, and then someone came out and said, well, wait a second, they're genetic. There's a genetically different group. I don't even know how genetically. I have to double check the paper and read and see, but there was a split basically where they said there's persimmon and then there's corulum, and corulum have the blue eyes and a darker colored mouth, like on the inside, and I think like a slightly different scale count. But I talked to Matt about it because I found the paper because it's from a couple years ago, and I sent it to him. I was like, "You really, is there anything to this you think?" And he said no. He said he's bred them and he's gotten green-eyed snakes, he's gotten blue-eyed snakes. He's like, he doesn't think there's anything substantial behind it.
Okay.
It's another one of those things. It's just like the Hainan rhinos.
Right.
It's like whether you think it's a real thing or not, who's to say? It just confirms my suspicion that taxonomy is fake.
Oh, shh, don't say that.
It's fake, man.
It's not fake. Look, it's not fake. Humans who are, what's the word I'm looking for? Greedy humans are the ones who have ruined it.
I don't know, man. If I was going to be greedy, I feel like there's better things I could focus my energy on to make something out off of than splitting hairs.
Oh God, Casey Cannon says I should check my phone.
What? I still call them Radnophis.
What?
That they were originally persimmon were Radnophis before they got lumped into Gonyosoma. Why aren't you working, keyboard? My battery's dying. Find this paper here.
Casey Cannon says he just got off a podcast and his chair is set up. If we would like to send him the link,
do it.
I'm doing it. I'm doing it and doing it and doing it kind of well.
I'm trying to find the paper here.
All right, Casey, it's coming at you, Bubba.
ResearchGate, the gateway. to nerds arguing on the internet over things that have zero bearing on their day-to-day life. How many
I don't know,
marks
man.
do you see?
Taxonomy has bearing on my life daily.
That sucks.
Screw you, man. I love taxonomy.
I love taxonomy too, but I'm just like I'm at the point where it's like, okay, you don't like him as Gonyosoma, you like him as Radnophis, cool. You don't like him as Persimmon, and you like him as Corulum, cooler. Like I don't.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to call him, go nuts.
The
guys.
Casey Cannon. You really do. You have the chair and the globe too. You
I
brought
do.
out the globe.
I do.
love it.
I was on NPR, so
Oh, nice.
now I'm all
nice.
like jazzed up for reptile talking. So
He's a pretty big deal.
Are you wearing a smoking jacket?
no, but I'm wearing a big jacket that looked like one, so I'm trying to play up with the fact it looks like a robe.
Let's be real. It's a snuggie.
I mean, I'll stand up. It's like an XXL.
Oh, I've seen
Yeah.
that jacket. You've worn that jacket.
But it looks like a robe, so I'm going to wear it with my globe.
Excellent. Excellent. All right. So what are we looking at, Smitty?
So we have Corulum, quote unquote, here on the left, and Persimmon here on the right.
Man, that's close.
But like we're talking about a gray mouth versus a pink mouth, and then I think like a split anal plate versus a not split anal plate.
Oh,
See,
yeah.
taxonomy's real. Look
But
at
they're
that.
also
I mean,
going off like you're going off holotypes and stuff. Like, what's to say that
How can you argue
animal wasn't a
anal
single
scales?
like? Shut up, Casey.
Okay,
Yeah,
I gave you a rough green snake.
you did. It's the first rough green snake I've ever seen that was alive and not killed by a car.
Like, what is this gonna tell me? I don't. Aside from like,
Aside from snakes look like crap when they've been sitting in alcohol for too long.
for 200 years, yeah. I don't know. Taxonomy is fake. Fake news.
Skylar says, I'm with Casey. You can't argue with anal scales. I read about it in a book. Oh, Skylar. Yeah, and holotype is great, but I doubt that a lot of these papers are written with a single specimen. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
And I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm sure it's been done before. I mean, shit. Gunther did it in 1876. I thought this was a Lavis, but it's actually from the other side of the continent. So disregard the papers I wrote. Oh, James Francis Ryan of Iowa. Right.
James Franco.
Different movie, bud.
I need to read over this whole thing again. But...
Well, I was actually waiting for you to bust out the papers, and since we have Professor Cannon with us, I'm going to send you a picture to post that I recently found. I think doesn't Professor sound bad? Professor Cannon.
Professor.
It's from 2021.
Hopefully in a few years.
Nice. So this is a screenshot that. Oh no, I don't want to text it. I want to Facebook it. Hold on. Where is Justin Smith on this Facebook nonsense? Okay.
Good luck finding me.
Oh, you're there. Oh, I got you.
Like taxonomy are not real.
So, in my quest to learn more about dirt snakes, I stumbled across a paper on the morphology and phylology. Wow, I can't talk tonight.
Biology.
You know what I mean?
Phylogeny.
Phylogeny.
We're scientists.
I know. Hell, my thinking brain. And I found a CT scans of snake skulls that are all sub-Saharan African dirt snakes.
Were they made of bone?
They were. They were.
Science.
But it's super cool because it's showing you all the different fang structures. And it just goes back to our famous saying of like, just because it's rear fang doesn't mean that it's not going to bite you. And the whole chewing thing is nonsense. You know, chewing makes it worse.
Not. They're mildly venomous. Phil.
Oh, God. Here we go. Well, I just sent you a screenshot from the paper. Obviously, the paper is way more in depth.
You have to be a real weakling to die from a boom slang bite. Your immune system
fighting for his phonics. Oh, that's good. That's good.
Why do I have 7 notifications on Facebook? What is happening? I love how you just send it to whichever group chat is the closest one.
If your name's in it, and I mean, I've got like 12 group chats with you in it, so whichever one's closest.
Oh, this looks like it'll give me nightmares.
Good. Sleep well, children.
Okay, so we're looking at rear fang dirt snakes.
Looking at rear fang and quasi rear fang dirt snakes, as well as
side
quasi
rear fang. I like that.
Yeah, and
I can't read that.
Well, I was gonna read it.
Topography.
Tomography. Computed tomography.
So this is made by the same people that made Bug's Life. It's not even real. Computed tomography. Oh, that's what the T in CT stands for.
Yes, that's what the CT stands for.
I thought that was Connecticut. That was Connecticut.
It is also Connecticut, yes.
Samsonite. I was way off.
I was way off. So if you can zoom in on the skulls, I can.
Can't.
What do you mean you can't?
Hold on. Let me download it.
I'll do it then.
No, it's too late. I'm already opening it in preview.
All right, fine. Local man dies from boom slang bite in attempt to prove others were, quote, cowards.
Cowards. Be a man.
Let it chew on you. Be a man.
Bleed out of every hole in your body. Be a man.
Oh, God.
Every hole in your body. Okay. Here we are.
All right. So if you zoom in on letter B,
letter B one right here, that one looks like a dachshund skull. Is that true?
It's very dachshund-ish. It is not my dog schnitzel.
Looks like a rodent.
It is very rodent-ish. That is actually the Baron's wow, I can't talk tonight. That's Bibron's stiletto snake.
Oh, I thought you said Baron's is in like the lesser rhino, but
no, that's a Bibron's stiletto snake. And you can see the side stabbing fangs and the layers within them.
A nice cluster.
Yeah, that's a pretty distinct difference between B and C.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. So some of these scientific names, I
guess the species.
Well, some of the scientific names I don't know. I honestly need to Google them or look them up in a book. But the ones that I was actually looking for is Atractaspis and Macroleps, because those are the two species that I keep. So if you go down to should be H, and that's Macroleps. That is the Natal black snake. And everyone says, oh, these snakes don't bite. They have to chew on you. It's rear fang. It's fine.
It's because when people hear rear fang, they think that they're like way in the back here. And it's like, no, rear fang means they're like a couple seats behind the front row.
Exactly.
What is F? It looks rather useless.
F?
Just like a lizard skull. It doesn't even look like a snake.
F is a Perlactis motus.
I think Jay got hit by a car. I don't think Jay's right.
Yeah, I was like that.
Yeah, so some of these are the quill snakes. Some of these are the stiletto cousins. Let me see if I can pull up a picture of the Aprilicus.
J is just a link. They don't even say the name. I don't want to look at the link. I just want you to tell me what it is. I literally don't know what any of these other species are.
So E, look at E. You see how tiny those fangs are on letter E. And that's because it's basically a venomous tantilla.
Tantilla are venomous.
Well, you know what I mean. Ones that'll really get you.
Like actually bite you.
Mm-hmm. And you can see that there are longer fangs in the front that are not necessarily venom delivery.
Those are to hold on to you while it chews.
Pretty much. I mean, these are like termite eating snakes. So it's small food that's got to get snatched.
So it makes complete sense that they're termite eaters and that they'd be rear fanged. Because why not?
Why didn't he put venom to eat termites?
You know what? That's a question for Charles Darwin. You're gonna have to ask him.
Listen, why does anyone do anything? Okay, that's
exactly. Why. They're like, oh yeah, you think finches follow your little model? I'm gonna be rear fanged and eat ants.
Just gorge myself on the things that can't run away when you envenomate them.
They just explode as soon as I bite down on them. But I need this venom.
If you're looking at letter J, is Xenocalamus, which is one of the quill snakes, and that is what it looks like.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, looks like something off of Sesame Street.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting because the macrolap skull has a very defined rear fang that is not really rear. And you on the Bibber stiletto, you really get to see the length of the fangs and how they're stacked in the skull with very little standard teeth. I mean, practically no teeth. And I think that also has to do with what they're eating and how they're eating it, whether it be underground or in burrows or what have you. And I also feel like they may lose it with age as well, because I looked at a lot of other skulls and stuff, and very few of them have those lower mandible teeth, if that makes any sense.
Again, totally practical. Evolution.
Sciencey stuff.
Cannon, yeah. What's new up in your neck of the woods?
I had a tree fall in the backyard while I was gone. I didn't get back into my house until about, 1:45 in the morning.
Oh, wow.
After I did my rocket run to South Carolina.
He drove down here and then he drove back.
I did. It was a pretty intense trip. But
I told him he could stay here. He's like, no, I'll just drive back.
I mean, I can still do it, and I still needed to listen to lectures and stuff like that. So, it was a good trip. But apparently in the time I was gone, a tree in the backyard blew over. So I'm going to have a lot more perching and stuff like that for the snakes pretty soon.
Nice.
And I had a clutch of ball pythons too, as I was driving back.
That's awesome.
There's like one egg there's 2 slugs, and then there were 5 eggs that look good. And then I candled them, and you ever felt like a infertile egg that still looks like a snake egg, and it just feels like a water balloon? Yeah. So I candled them, and of the 5, 4 of them have nothing in them, and one of them has some veinage, and it kind of has that right leathery feel to it. So I put them all in the incubator. I'm expecting them all to go bad over the next 2 weeks, but maybe that one will hatch. I don't know.
Taking a nice shot out of the positivity cannon there.
Well, did you separate them in the tray? Like one on the right, one on the left?
Well, no, they weren't even really stuck together.
Oh, okay.
So, the ones that are bad are actually in their own little container, and then the one that's good is in a more typical incubator setup.
Were you saying was that the clutch that you were trying to figure out what the sire was?
Yeah, that was kind of just I had an extra female and didn't really know what to do with her. So I had a super inchy clown male. So if he's the sire, every baby's going to have the inchy gene. And then the other one was a puzzle het hypo. So basically I'd be able to tell which one was the dad based on which genes they had. So it was just kind of a fun little who's going to be your dad clutch. It turns out neither of them.
It was the Maury clutch.
Yeah, it was the Maury clutch, except turns out none of them were the father.
The Virgin Mary. The Holy Ghost.
Interesting. What is Puzzle?
Puzzle is a relatively new recessive gene. It's not the coolest looking gene, to tell you the truth. It kind of I didn't think it was that cool until Cox described it to me as it turns a ball python into an afrock. So it gives a ball python an afrock pattern.
Very cool.
So I kind of gained a little bit of appreciation for him after he explained it to me like that.
Nice.
So it was cool, but didn't sire anything. So I was kind of looking forward to that, and I have been moving the room around a lot the last 2 days.
All right.
To where I'm trying to get to the point where maybe you guys can come over sometime and I won't have a panic attack. Trying to make it so it's presentable enough that not like YouTube presentable, but I can have friends come over and take a look at it and I won't freak out.
Yeah, it's always funny how you have what we jokingly call YouTube presentable, right? And then you have your friends and normal herpers who they know there's gonna be poo. You know what I mean?
Or they know okay, maybe your setup's not going to be the most feng shui.
Yeah, exactly. Or honestly, I've had people complain on Instagram because there were bits of shed in the substrate of a photo.
Yes, I've seen that before too. People are brutal about that stuff.
Right. And it's look, man, I have a lot of animals.
Those people can fuck off. I hate that shit. It's you're looking at a very small window of my entire room, of my entire day. Maybe I was in the process of cleaning that. Happened to take a video because I didn't play Mr. fucking Belvedere and go in there and pick up every single piece, with my hand or with my tongs before I shot that video. It's fuck off with that shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't post a picture of any of your stuff if you're not willing to get roasted that way yourself. Because it's if you're going to do it,
don't take pictures of stuff in the room. I take my pictures outside.
I hate that.
But I've also honestly, if you're breeding pythons, sometimes it's good to get your cage a little dirty. Leave some sheds around. It seems to kind of get stuff going.
I have 2 Cobra hide boxes. Okay, let me rephrase that. I have 1 Cobra hide box that's with my Nubian, and I've had that snake. Oh my! I've had that snake since 2007, and I haven't cleaned that hide box. The black plastic, I haven't cleaned it probably since, maybe 2009 or 2010, because every time I cleaned it, he would just liquid shit all over it. So I leave it in there as a scent marker. The cage is brand new substrate, brand new, cleaned everything, but I leave that high box dirty because it smells like him and he likes it.
Yeah, and I actually think scent marking is really important with some stuff like that.
Oh yeah,
I'm thoroughly convinced if you're upgrading stuff, I found it with chondros, they seem to anecdotally adjust to bigger setups much easier if you take that old sheet of paper towel or whatever it is you were keeping them on and put it in there with the new, even if it's just half of it or something.
Yeah, or
it seems like they adapt, they adjust to that newer setup so much better, quicker and smoother than if you just throw them in completely new. And now it's to the point too where even if I upgrade corns or colubras and stuff to something bigger, I'll just take a handful of the old bedding and just mix it in with the new and give them the same hide as long as it's not completely trashed. And it, again, I think it makes the transition easier because it's not completely unfamiliar at that point. Now it's
yeah, and Lisa
there's something to it for sure.
Oh, well, absolutely. And Lisa puts it well, is that snakes totally communicate through pheromones. I mean, they have a Jacobson's organ, so they're going to have so much more senses than in terms of smell and taste than anything we could ever comprehend. And not to sound lazy, but I would rather have a dirty black plastic hide box covered in powdered urates than have my snake shit on the ceiling. So just me.
Yep. Yeah, I think there's without a doubt something to it. And that was the funniest thing with putting that male rhino in, man. because the female's in a cube, a 2-foot cube.
Mm-hmm.
Watching him go in there, and you just see the little gears just go nuts. Like that
Switched
tongue is
on.
going a mile a minute. He stopped at like every single perch and like just practically like just licks it, almost just completely just sensory overload with whatever's going on in his little brain. And then he realizes, like, wait a second, there's a girl here. I know what I must do.
Yeah.
And then you see the girl just watching him from her hide, like, oh shit. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
This fucking guy again.
It is funny to we anthropomorphize, but you could see what's going on. You know, you could see.
Oh no, I mean it's not even anthropomorphizing like at that point. Like you put in a male snake into a female's cage. Doesn't matter what the species is. If it's chondros, if it's balls, if it's corns, if it's crebos, whatever. Like you're gonna see that male like stop and be like, "This is new. This is something different. Like this is not. This is." You just see him taking in all the newness, new world.
Yeah,
only a few feet away.
It is really cool when you see them slither up, and then they get to the point where like you can tell they smell the girl, like the girl in person, and then you see the gears turn again. Yeah, they may not start trying to spur anything initially, but you can definitely tell there's a moment of, oh, hello.
Yeah, or it's defensive, and they're like, whoa,
yeah,
there's another snake in here. What am I gonna do? Oh, wait. It's a lady.
What's always sort of fascinated me in terms of like us and keeping snakes, like us as far as herpetoculturists in general, is the fact that an animal that has such a limited capacity for as far as body language and stuff, like how over time you can tell exactly what's going on with that animal. And other people are like, how do you know it's about to do this? And it's like, I can't explain it. It's just like you mess with enough stuff long enough, you know what's going on. Like you can tell if a snake's like deciding if it wants to take a jab at you or not, or like if it's completely mellow and just curious, if it's really freaking out, if it's, so it's just always kind of made me laugh that like you can tell so much from an animal that shows you so little, long, if you do it in long enough timeline.
Yeah, that's something I never really thought about too much until I started dating Anna Maria, because she is a behavioral analyst, and her and I talked about a lot of animal behaviors and stuff like that. And you don't realize how much you learn by observing over the years, even over the months, of new species that I never kept before, and just making subconscious observations going, oh wait, it did that last week. That's really interesting. I never seen it do that before. Things like that. And I feel like that's a whole nother aspect of herpetoculture that we either unknowingly take for granted, or we learn about it and come across it, and it makes it all the more fascinating, if that makes sense.
And I think every group kind of has its own tricks to it. Like when I went from pythons to colubrids, night and day, man, night and day. Where I'm really good at being able to tell, okay, the pythons are going to do this. This is what this means. You throw a Pituophis in front of me, and I can kind of tell what they're going to do now, but they do not act like pythons. They don't move like pythons. They are so much faster. They have way better aim, and they don't really telegraph at all.
Well, I like Brettles.
I'm sure once you know, like you can tell that telegraph, but like as a python person, where pythons are like, I'm going to strike right here. Pituophis do not do that.
Well, like Brettles are a good example. Like you can tell when a Brettles is seriously considering whether your hand is food or not.
Sure.
Like you can see him stopping and kind of looking at it, and then you're like, oh my god, here it comes. Chondros too. Chondros even more so, I think, because just like all the other carpets and stuff, they're so apt to swing first and ask questions later, initially. Sure. But you get some of those Even some of like the little corns, you can tell when you open that tub, they're like, there's not a hey, I'm coming to check you out thing. It's like a hey, you look like food.
Yeah.
And there's very different behaviors and sort of reactions there initially that are so subtle that most people that aren't, haven't done anything with snakes would look at it and be like, whatever. But it is that subconscious thing. Like it's like micro expressions almost to a degree. I don't know how to describe it, but
that's good. Micro expressions. I could totally envision that. One that we always noticed over the years was with any of the Biddish genus. So rhinos, puffs, gaboons, those heavy-bodied African vipers, they have very wide, flat heads. And you'd see the viper huff and puff, right? It's huffing, it's puffing, it's saying, don't come near me, leave me alone, I'm stressed, I don't want to deal with you. And then it would stop, and it would take its face, and I don't know if you guys can see on the camera, and it would put its nose to the dirt and like almost show you the top of its head. And it's watching you, like it's looking up at you the whole time. And when that nose went down to the dirt, that was basically the full tell of, I am done with this situation. You've got 5 seconds to get out of here before I lash out.
Like less dramatic version of what puffs do.
Puff adders?
Like you know how puffs like raise up.
Yeah, it's honestly it's they stop huffing and puffing, they stop deep breathing, and they just put their face to the dirt and they touch their nose to the dirt, but they're still looking up at you, and that's the end. Like I've had enough, I'm done. Here comes the hurricane.
Yeah,
and every time it's a guaranteed thing. And I always tell people, especially in captivity, like, hey, if you see your puff or your gaboon, that nose down thing, just leave it alone. Because now it's going to be even more unruly. It's not going to ride a hook. It's going to strike and flail and thrash and poop on you. And it's just better to just leave them alone, let them calm down, and then come back later when they're not agitated. So like, even though that is I don't want to say a stupid tell, but it is a tell through and through.
Yeah. Well, it's also funny because you have certain species that they're much more apparent with where they're at with you, like
sure,
the Ganyos,
with the neck.
The Jansenii, they puff out the neck. Pits, Pituophis, like Jake has some where it's like immediately like they're huffing and puffing and they're making noise and they're very clearly like
opening that glottis.
Very obvious. And then you have stuff that's like, I'm gonna act like king snakes, like your Getula stuff, like I'm gonna act completely pleasant, and then all of a sudden I'm gonna be latched onto your finger.
Well, I
think that might be because they're dumb. Like honestly, that might just be an intelligent thing.
Because I'm sorry, Getula give you signs that we ignore. We think, oh, they're rattling its tail, how cute. No, that's a sign. If a Getula is flailing its tail like a rattlesnake, like it's stressed and freaking out.
I'm talking about the ones that you can be holding. Like, okay,
and they just bite.
There's a Brooks I had as a kid. The whole reason that I have like PTSD from Getula stuff, man.
Here comes the Brooks.
I could hold that thing no problem, and then you just look down, and it is like knuckle deep.
It gives you the anaconda, or as the Morelia people call it, the woma. It's just
I was about to say that's very Woma-like from the sound.
Very Woma-like, yeah, very Woma-like, very anaconda-like. If you're gonna play with a woma or an anaconda, expect it for it to just open its mouth without any kind of warning. And there's no strike. It's just
no, that little king I got from Keller was very, very clear with its
albino cow king, hell on wheels. We know this. Like, no one's gonna doubt you on that.
We
break your stones, but yeah. Now, Lisa made a great observation about her male white lip smearing urates all over the female and then guarding her. And Lisa's guess was that it was basically his way of saying to other boys, she's mine, I already got her. So I think that's a very valid observation.
Yeah.
And I'd be eager to see other people, Owen or whoever who's keeping white lips in legitimate observations and see if they notice the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. And I know from rings, they're, all of their behaviors are so they're so analogous to Nerodia. I mean, everything they do seems to be about scent marking and shit and water.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's just because Nerodia are nasty.
I feel like Nerodia have their own tells as well, but they're almost more, I don't want to say forgiving, because I've just observed so many Nerodia where you pick them up and they almost play possum, where they're just like, all right, if I don't move, it won't eat me. And then the minute you start to like treadmill that snake in your hand, it's like, oh no, it's gonna eat me. Bite and poop, you know?
Flail. Speaking of the evil Cow King, any word on the next THP raffle? I was thinking about shooting for the next one to be in June. Maybe.
Do we
Maybe
have more prizes?
It wouldn't be hard to get our hands on one.
Okay. I just didn't know if people had already given submissions or ideas or whatnot.
No, but that is something I'll do differently on the next one, is sort of announce that we're looking for stuff. Because with the Reed one, you know, I really didn't have to put a whole lot of effort into getting stuff from people for that. You know, everyone was pretty forthcoming. So
right.
Next one will be, I had a lot of people come to me after the fact being like, hey, can I add this? Can I add that? And as much as I wanted to, and just said, well, we'll put you on the list and hit you up next time we do one.
Good. So, Cannon, what else you got cooking right now?
So I've been throwing some of the skinks together.
Excellent.
I put the westerns together not long ago, where the male had a go with the female. She chased him off, but I've kind of been like putting them together and leaving them alone and kind of just being in listening distance lately. So I don't know if they've been breeding. I know that I put them in the cage and they're both still alive.
That's good.
You know, no one's bleeding. I don't know. So I would love to be like, yes, I'm getting full locks. I had an issue with my male Eastern, but I think I've solved it. And I'm a little proud of myself for having solved it.
And for those listening, we're talking about blue tongue skinks, FYI.
Yes. So what happened there was I pulled him out of brumation and I put him on the back porch and he got cold. And then I had to put him back into brumation because unfortunately this time of year for us, you'll have like 1 week where it's like beautiful spring, summer weather. And then there's 2 weeks where it's cold and raining. So I think putting him back in brumation kind of made him a little bubbly. You know, skinks, a big thing with them is they get bubbly eyes and they get like drooly sides whenever they get our eyes. So he got like that. He got to a point for a couple of days where like his eyes, he didn't want to open his eyes up because they kept bubbling over, which that's kind of
conjunctivitis.
Yeah, I don't know what they do, but like that's a thing skinks do. So what I've done with him in the last 2 days, and it's worked great, is I put him in my incubator, which is at the bottom of the incubator is like 84, 86. And then for like an hour or two, maybe 2-3 times a day, I'll put a layer of water so he can drink. And kind of getting him to the point where his core body temperature can get up to like 84, 86. Seems to have done the trick. Like he's got his eyes open again. They look really bright-eyed, bushy-tailed. He's flicking his tongue. Like, honestly, man, like it seems like he's doing good. And I'm gonna say like one more time just because
Well, I feel that if you look at some of the guys keeping them in New South Wales and the like, yeah, like Hanson, dude. Jay keeps them outside and gets snow on the ground. You know what I mean? And I find it's
cheating.
I find it difficult to believe that they don't have similar spikes the way that Georgia would have similar spikes. You know what I mean?
It gets a lot colder out here, but yeah, it's got to be similar. Where in New South Wales, when you're waking, like it's not just it's summer. Yeah. You know, I think a lot of people think that whenever we're trying to brumate stuff is, you know, it becomes I don't know, whatever, March 15th, and all of a sudden everything is up to like full summer conditions. That's just not how nature is.
Right.
At least not far south or far north.
Well, and that's kind of what I was getting at, is that you said, oh, it was in the 50s, and then you had a couple 80-degree days, and then you're like, oh, I'll take them out. And then whammo, it goes back down to 50s or 40s. And I feel like that has to happen in the wild for them as well.
It does.
Maybe not as
definitely
dynamic,
does.
but
Because I mean, I saw that when I was in New South Wales.
Yeah.
Where we had a couple cloudy days, and it was pretty chilly on those cloudy days, and it was really cold at night. But I don't know. That's a common problem here with blue-tongued skinks, is they get bubbly, where like their eyes literally kind of bubble up, and they have them shut where they won't want to open them up, and you kind of see a little bit of drool coming around the sides. It's not quite like a respiratory infection in a python. I think it's a lot less severe now that like literally I put him in the incubator for 2 days now, and he's totally fine afterwards. So I'm sure it's just that. What do you say, Justin?
It's like me when I sleep.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably like us with a cold, you know? What all you want to do is get under a blanket and get warm for a day or two. Yeah, then you're good to go.
That's good.
Which I'm sure some of it was hydration, some of it was all that stuff, but I don't know. I was really, really worried going into the year with him being sick. Or I'm like, oh crap, you know, it's just what I need right now is for my top male to not want to open his eyes and have a respiratory infection. But I don't know. Seems to have cleared itself up. So hope for that. Yeah, I guess.
How soon do you feed them out of brumation?
It kind of depends. They don't like the males don't really seem to want to eat coming out of brumation. Like honestly, it's kind of a trick to get them to eat again. What I've had to do a couple times is I'll unthaw a pinky or something like that and then cut it open so they can smell it, and that seems to kind of jumpstart them wanting to eat again.
Okay.
It doesn't seem to want their normal foods don't want to get them to. They don't want to get going on their normal foods. There seems to be like, you know, chopped up mice or a little bit of beef heart or maybe some strawberries. They really like strawberries.
Oh, really? I was just about to say they probably want that raw iron protein coming out of a long sleep, you know?
I think some of it too is just a smell thing where they're like, okay, I'll eat. And then once you kind of get some food in your system, then the metabolism starts up and then you're hungry again.
Right.
I'm sure it's kind of like a system reboot thing the first time they eat coming out of brumation.
And forgive me if I'm putting you on the spot, but what are they eating in the wild? I mean,
they're kind of just generalist omnivores. They don't really eat grass, from what I understand. Lots of snails. I think snails are kind of a big part of their diet. I have a lot of insects, but I can also tell you based on what I've watched them do, they are not built to eat fast insects. They're just anatomically, they're built to crush things.
See the video of that shingleback chasing the butterfly?
I've seen that. Yes, it's funny.
That's amazing.
I put crickets in there, and they're not very good at catching crickets. So whatever they eat in the wild are not cricket-like.
Well, I also heard
I think it's probably like beetles.
Moving though, that shingleback was.
They can book it. It's just they also don't really turn well when they're booking it like that. Like they seem to go really fast in one direction, but if you ask them to turn, it's not on a dime.
It's like a semi-truck.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and I heard from a lot of keepers back in the day that nobody fed blue tongues crickets because it makes their poo smell atrocious.
I think that's just cricket. I think it's just feeding stuff crickets in general.
Okay.
I mean,
okay.
You know, bearded dragons also have atomic shits.
Yeah, because I had a friend who bred New Guineas, and I asked him, and he's like, "Oh man, I never give any of them crickets because their poo just smells so horrible. It's 10 times worse." And then I had spoken to a couple other people that like worked out underground and stuff who were also breeding New Guineas and like Hamaharas, and they're like, "Oh no, never feed them bugs. Never feed them bugs. It just stinks." I'm like, "Oh, okay."
I mean, it seems like one of those things too in nature. They'll eat. I think the Westerns and the Centralians are more insectivorous. I think there have been studies on those guys where they've actually found they eat a lot of insects. But the studies I've seen on Easterns, at least, it kind of just seems like they're eating whatever they're finding around people's gardens. Like opening some up. They got hit by cars, and their stomachs are full of tomatoes. They're full of snails.
They're Australian raccoons.
Yeah, like basically they're a scaly raccoon. They'll eat your cat's cat food, and then they'll eat their dog's poop. They're just kind of whatever.
Interesting.
What's up with Brettles? Are you doing anything?
I'm throwing some Brettle stuff together. I'm trying to do the classic, or my like piece. What do you call it? Piece de resistance. Is that the right word for that? My like top level project where I mix all the bloodlines together. Somebody who speaks French, let me know if I used that properly. I don't think I did. I think I. But
how dare you mix bloodlines like that?
Yeah, right. Especially now that Warren Booth has dropped the bomb on us, they're all the same bloodline, and all my efforts have been for nothing for the last few years.
Dude, did you see that super dark black one that Frame produced?
Yeah.
Oh my god, it's the dream.
It's a pretty awesome looking stuff. I've seen some really dark ones in Australia too. Some pictures of those. It wasn't as dark as those, but I had a super dark one when I first got into Brettles, where like instead of being a reddish color, he was almost like a brownish purple, and then the back half of him was black. He's just really dark Brettles.
That's cool. Like a bruised purple.
Yeah, honestly, probably like the chair right here, like really dark, but still you could tell it was just a dark brown with a little bit of purpley undertones to it.
That's cool, man. I like that.
But yeah, I sold that animal years ago. But yeah, we're trying to do the 4 bloodline mix. Bloodline. May as well.
Nice.
What are you expecting from that?
Just a bunch of Brettles that are het stonewash at the end of the day. Hopefully with some really good color to them. So there has never been a clutch of Brettles in the United States born that didn't have, I would say, 4 unrelated grandparents. In other words, like most of the time, at least one parent was from a family ladder of like, we have the original LASIK line siblings, and then we bred those together for how long? Or we had the Afors, and we bred those together for how long? So there's never been a clutch of Brettles that had 4 grandparents that weren't like obvious direct like siblings.
So if you do pull this off, you will be the first to.
I thought I was.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I'd be the first to cross them all, but now it turns out they're all the same. So,
Yeah, but
I'm not bitter.
Look, even if they are quote unquote all the same, you're still massively diversifying the gene pool.
Yes, I'm at least mixing up the gene pool. I'm at least stirring the gene pool up. No one stirred the gene pool up before.
Yeah. Everyone's drank either Coca-Cola or Sprite. You're the kid at the fountain putting both together in the same cup. Yes.
So I'm hoping that works out. It'd be really cool if it did. Then we've got some hypo stuff over here. I've got I've been calling it the tiger hypo Brettles, where sometimes the hypo animals here, if you breed 2 together, you'll get some like stripy ones. And it's not the genetic stripe, it's just like a polygenic. The bands just want to make a stripe. I've got a male that is ready to go and a female that maybe needs another year. So I'm going to try to throw him to a couple things just to see what happens, because I think that'd be cool.
Nice.
And then I don't know if the Sanzania cuddled, but I haven't seen him walk.
And you've had them for what, 3 years now?
Probably 2 or 3. I don't know. When I first got them, they locked up all the time. Like,
really,
I've never seen snakes lock up like Sanzania do. Like they would be locked up for 2.5 days consecutively.
Damn.
And I haven't seen them lock up since. So I don't know what happened. I'm moving them into a new enclosure. Probably tomorrow, maybe tonight. I don't know. It'll depend on how tired I am after this. But I'm hoping that kind of changes it up a little bit.
Sure. And for those listening who are not familiar, Sanzania are Malagasy tree boas.
Yes.
And then now, Do you think that she just reabsorbed after that 1 year of fornication?
I don't know. I also know that I cohab them, so maybe it was just like a, hey, we've never been together like this before, let's just bang. Because sometimes snakes just bang without having any follicles at all. And sometimes it's just the male trying to get the female to start building follicles. Because, there's certain species that they don't start, follicular development until, like, she knows a fertile male's around.
Right. We were actually just talking about this a little while earlier before you jumped on, is that if you look at some Nephra species, the males will begin testosterone production, for lack of a better word, about a month before all the girls start ovulating. So they'll develop ovarian follicles as a pheromone response to testicular activity in the males.
Yeah, and I mean, that makes perfect sense in nature. Like, you're not going to waste resources building follicles if there's no chance of them being fertilized.
Right.
So I'm wondering if part of what's going on with the Sanzinia is maybe they do lock up. It's just, it's a beginning of a relationship thing where you want to go all the time, and now you're 2 years living together, and you're like, yeah, I don't know, maybe next week.
Premarital relations.
Oh, geez. Well, that's cool, man. Fingers crossed on that. They're awesome.
Yeah, like I said, they've cuddled. They've been cuddling this year. I haven't seen a lock, but I'm also not like.
How cold do you get them?
What? These two are 2016, so they're definitely getting.
No, it's like how cold. How cold?
I cooled them down like the Bredl's pythons.
Oh wow! All right.
Yeah, man, Madagascar gets colder than people think it does, especially in the areas in the south where they're from.
Yeah, isn't it? There's a dividing mountain range where one side, the west side, is more deserty, and the east side's more tropical. Did I get that right?
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah.
Okay.
I think the westerns are the Mandarin phase, which are more of like a brown. Sometimes they're kind of a gunmetal, and then the easterns are the green ones, which is what everyone in the U.S. wants, and everyone in Europe has, and it's vice versa, where everyone in Europe wants the Mandarins because they're bigger. So, they're also a CITES 1 species, so they can't cross borders. What we've got is what we got everywhere.
Wow. And so no one has greens in the U.S.?
There are a few people with greens. It's not like they're unheard of. They're just, they're a species that they only breed every like 2 or 3 years because they hold their offspring for like 9 months. Like their gestation period is almost like a person's.
Wow.
And then they have to take a year or two off to kind of rebuild the fat stores to go again. So
yeah,
that's a big part of it. Is they're just a slow breeding species, and they need to get cold. Yeah,
I'd say it's the Muller's chameleon of boas.
Yeah, literally. Yeah. Maybe more like the Parsons. I think they're. Yeah. I don't know if they're from the same place as Parsons. They might be. Parsons are more in the north part of Madagascar. I think Sanzinia may come up the whole coast, though. I don't know. But Madagascar is a weird place. It's a lot more varied than people. I mean, you've got almost every biome except for maybe the polar ones in Madagascar.
Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. Well, gentlemen, we're at the 2-hour mark. Anything you boys want to touch base on?
Nope.
You can tune into my episode of Morelia Python Radio, where I got Owen to admit that there are, in fact, such things as Bigfoots. I had a very compelling argument.
Nice. When's that air?
I don't know.
All right.
But I can tell you, we had some Bigfoot talk, and I gave my theory on Bigfoot, and he agreed, because I think Bigfoot exists.
A little teaser for the listeners. I love it.
How come we haven't found it yet?
We have. You see him all the time.
Is he walking among us?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I mean, you want to spoil it?
No, don't spoil it. Don't spoil it.
Okay.
Don't spoil it. Well, definitely.
Yeah, no, the Bigfoot guys are completely right. There's absolutely their description is right, with one key detail missing.
All right, we'll leave it for the show. for those of you who have not heard, there is a new episode of Venom Exchange Radio, hot off the press, fresh out the desert. This episode is 14. We talked to Cody Will from Rattlesnake Ranch. So setting up a private rattlesnake zoo. So definitely give that a listen, a like, a subscribe everywhere you listen to us normally. Smithy, what do you got?
If you have not checked out blackboxcages.com, please go do it. Follow them on Instagram, follow them on Facebook. Buy yourself something and then use the code THN at checkout. Get yourself something nice. Treat yourself. And then head on over to Puget Sound Pythons, also on Facebook and Instagram. Follow them on Morph Market because they do have some stuff up for grabs throughout the year, periodically. And we'll be back for THP on Thursday.
Hell yeah. Casey, thank you for joining us.
Rhinos thanks for having me on.
Better.
Hashtag rhinos are better.
All right.
Thank you all.
Bye.